my God. There's certain things in the NBA that make me just fuzzy inside.
LeBron at least is a leader. Like, I respect LeBron. I don't like him.
Odd it is. I'll take that in the final answer with that. Odd. Hey there. Gosh, I like our theme song so much. It makes me so happy. Hey there, honeys and hunks. Got a new episode on May the 4th be with you. Jade, are you much of a Star Wars person?
I'm a huge Star Wars person.
You're a huge Star Wars person?
I'm a nerd across the board. Star Wars, Marvel, Star Trek.
Oh, wow. Some contradicting takes.
I know.
conflicting takes there, I should say. But I will have to say the NBA season is coming down to an end, so I care a little bit more than Star Wars about it right now. So step aside The Mandalorian. We got some great stuff to start out today. But before we get into it, though, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, Hardcourt Honeys, on Facebook and Instagram at Hardcourt Honeys, and on Twitter at HC Honeys. Yeah, so this week episode is going to be about the surge of Russell Westbrook as the season has been winding down, and then the race between the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed in the Western Conference between the Lakers, Mavs, and Blazers, super tight, and which team would like to avoid that play-in situation. Plus, we're going to wrap up with some, gosh, I hate that LeBron controls the league this much. LeBron comments about his overall health right now, and then his contradicting comments he had about the play-in, about at the beginning of the season until now. See the different way his tune has changed. All right, so Russell Westbrook, I gotta ask you, Jade, who has been more important, Russell Westbrook or Bradley Beal for the Wizard?
I think it has to be Westbrook. Because how many of those triple-double assists is Bradley Beal eaten off of? It's got to be a high percentage.
But when you think of, like, say, the beginning of the season, Russ had a kind of a rough start at the beginning of the season, and Bradley Beal went off on the beginning of the season. And now Russ has really picked it up. And Bradley Beal, to at least my knowledge, call me out, anyone that views this if I'm wrong, has been pretty much the same for the entire season. So does consistency get thrown into play here?
I mean, one of them is new to the team and one of them isn't.
I guess.
You know, Bradley Beal's been with the Wizards. He didn't have to adjust to a new team this season. Russell Westbrook did.
Bradley Beal got lucky that Russell Westbrook's essentially a better version of John Wall.
We've been talking a lot about Russell Westbrook. I did another show. I recorded with another show this afternoon, the Across the Pond podcast guys who have been on Hardcourt Honeys.
Oh, you did a show with Across the Pond? Perfect.
Yeah. So I recorded that this afternoon, and we talked a lot about Russell Westbrook. And then I looked at stats after, and he's averaging a triple-double for 4 straight seasons.
Yep.
That's insane. He had 24 rebounds last night. What other guard is pulling down 24 rebounds?
I used to think that it was he was just a stat stuffer, because in Oklahoma City, Steven Adams would block out like 3 guys, and then Russell Westbrook would just soar in for the rebound. So I thought, because Steven Adams was averaging like 7 rebounds. The strongest guy in the NBA should not be averaging 7 rebounds.
But it was a plan.
But no, and it worked out perfect. I mean, everyone was on the same page with it. So I mean, what's not broken, you don't need to fix it.
Exactly.
But this year it's really showing me that no, he actually can do it without can do it on his own with it. He doesn't need Steven Adams because they don't really, to my not not the Lakers. Jeez. Wizards lost their big man with Thomas Bryant, like their main big man. Yeah. Rui's been good this year for them, to my knowledge, with it, but
yeah, he's had some great games. I've heard his name a lot. So
yeah, I see. Speaking of him, I got like Tobias Harris in him. That's who I see he turns out to be. 3-level scorer with it. But so Scott Brooks, head coach of the Wizards, said that Russell Westbrook is the second best point guard all time behind Magic Johnson. So, taking what he said, and we look at all the accolades that Russell Westbrook has. Russell Westbrook. Jeez, Russell Westbrook. Is he right?
No. Russell Westbrook has no rings. Zero rings. You can't get to second all-time point guards above Steph Curry and Steve Nash and Isaiah Thomas.
Well, Steve Nash doesn't have a title.
Who?
Steve Nash doesn't have a title.
But he's got back-to-back MVPs.
True.
You know, like Russ has done a lot of stuff, no question. But like there are some milestone things he doesn't have. And that, I don't think that's necessarily by any fault of his own. I think a lot of his, players' careers are dictated a lot by circumstance. And the circumstances he's been in, like, it's crazy. This just popped into my head and I almost feel crazy for saying it, but like the Wizards might be the best situation he's ever been in his career for what he does and what a team needs him to do, because he helps everybody. We're talking triple doubles. We're talking double-digit assists averaging for 4 consecutive seasons. So he's getting the points, he's getting the boards, and he's getting his other teammates better. But when he had to play behind guys like James Harden and all the other great players he's played with, I think there wasn't enough room for him to be what he should be as a basketball player.
Yeah, because I'm thinking through the other great players he's played with. So, I mean, like, obviously Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka was great with him. I mean, he played with Paul George, who was putting up an MVP. He's always played with MVP-esque players.
Right.
Like when Paul George was there, he was an MVP candidate.
Right. So because he's always playing behind guys like that, I think he could have been doing this for a long time if the situation had been right.
Think we should. So, since Scott Brooks is their head coach, does his opinion though have a little bit more to say? Because Russell Westbrook has been playing under Scott Brooks for a majority of his career. So, who would know more than Scott Brooks?
Everybody who knows about Steve Nash and Isaiah Thomas and Steph Curry and whoever else I said before. Like, to me, this sounds like, a parent that is, of course, going to say that their kid is the best. Like, because I don't think it's a reasonable thing to say. I don't think Scott Brooks is stupid. So, like, I think it's the bias that made him say that. Because, like, let's be real. It's to say he's second all time is not a reasonable place. He's up there. He's making a solid argument for top 10, 6 maybe, 7. But like second all time. I think the closeness of Scott Brooks and Russ's relationship facilitated that little bit of craziness.
Russell Westbrook or John Stockton, who is the all-time assists and all-time steals leader by a wide margin.
Oh, a wide margin.
Wide margin. Who would you take?
At a time when they were taking less shots in a game, so there was less opportunities to get assists.
Mm-hmm. But who would you take?
I take Russell Westbrook because he's proven that he can be great wherever you put him. I don't know if John Stockton gets to the all-time assists. Steals maybe, because steals is more of a one-on-one anticipation, cut off the lane thing. But assists, I don't know if he gets there without the people he had to pass to.
I mean, that pick and roll, that was the epitome of that.
Right? Like, it was money. Like, every time it was going in. It was automatic bucket and assist for him. So I would take Russ because he's going to be productive. He's going to figure out how to be productive wherever he is.
That is very true, considering how many times the team has been rebuilt and reborn with it.
Yeah.
But you've been mentioning so much about 4 straight seasons of triple doubles. The final question with this: is this the best triple double season that Russell Westbrook put on? Has he been messing around the best this year?
You know what I find interesting about this question is that we talked about he got off to a rocky start. Imagine if he hadn't. What this season might have been, because he's playing out of his mind. By the numbers, it's hard to say because in his other high assist seasons, 16, 17, and 17, 17, 18, and 18, 19 with OKC, in the 17-18 season, he averaged 25.4 points. He's averaging 21.8 this season, but he has more assists. He's got more rebounds too. So, yeah, I think this season, I think once you weigh everything out and also the importance of his performance to his team this year, I would say this is the biggest one.
Gotcha. I'll have to, once Shay gets here, whenever she's able to come in, I'll make sure to swing back and ask her some of these. But going on with it, so we got the 5th seed Lakers, the 6th seed Mavs, we got the 7th seed Portland Trailblazers. So Lakers are 37-28, Mavs are 36-28, and Portland's 36-29. Lakers have got the hardest schedule going in. Mavericks have the easiest. So, should the Lakers be scared of this hard schedule? Will this schedule matter that much for closing out the season? And they've been 3-7 in their last 10 games, so they haven't been playing well.
I think it absolutely matters, not only because AD has just got back and he's playing well, but I think he's still got another level to find post-injury. But now James is out again for at least 2 games, which is the Clippers on Thursday and the Blazers on Friday. He's out for back-to-back games again because of his ankle. And then they have the Suns and the Knicks. They get a little break towards the end with the Rockets, Pacers, and Pelicans. But that middle, the next 5 games are games they could lose pretty easily, especially if LeBron's not right.
Well, those Pacers and Pels game, though, that could be a tough game because those are 2 teams that are fighting for getting into the play-in.
Yeah.
So those could be a potential bugger for them.
None of them are going to be easy.
No.
It's a tough lineup. Even if LeBron's back after the next 2 games, I mean, we don't know how he's going to be, how many minutes he's going to have, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm a Lakers fan or person, there's concern there for sure.
And also Dennis Schroeder's out for 10 to 14 days due to protocol. Right. So not a lot of key things coming at unopportune times for the Lakers right now.
And that's assuming he can be back then. So if it's 10 to 14 days because of protocol, even though they haven't come out and said it, that says to me he tested positive. 10 to
makes
14.
sense.
What other reason is there to stay out 10 to 14 days when they're testing them? So he
Lakers
might
should
not
stay.
even be feeling up. He might not like it. Some of the players that have talked about it, who've had it, say it lingers and it takes a long time for them to feel better. He could be one of those people that feels better right away, or maybe even was asymptomatic, or maybe he's not going to feel great for a while. On top of missing, like he's already unavailable until the playoffs. And there's a possibility the Lakers could be out by the time he gets back.
Just
In
think.
2 weeks.
Ooh, that's something we should be looking for. But going to that middle team, the Mavericks, they have been playing well over their last. I mean, pretty solid. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Are we going to see a last push? Are we going to see them click some more for these final few games? And they have the easiest schedule. They got the Cavs twice. And I can't remember. They play me. They play the Wolves. So, I mean.
They've got the Heat today and the Nets on Thursday before they get to the easy part of their schedule, which is home and home with the Cavs, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Raptors, and Timberwolves.
Yeah, exactly. So, unless my Timberwolves end strong. Hey, Shay.
To say this is the easiest schedule, I don't know. Like, the Heat and the Nets are not going to be easy. The Pelicans could give them trouble. The Grizzlies should give them trouble.
Hey,
hey, Shay.
I'm here. Sorry.
Hey!
Do you like my new headset? Does it look like I'm like a 2000s pop star? Because that's what I feel like.
100% does.
Yes! That's what I want. That's all I've wanted in life.
Well, so actually, we're going to then backtrack real quick because we got those Russell Westbrook questions. I got something to ask you since your beloved Russell Westbrook. So, Scott Brooks said Westbrook, second best point guard all time, second to Magic Johnson. Do you agree with him, with your extreme bias to Russell Westbrook?
That's what I was about to say, is this is going to be extremely biased. But yes, I agree with him. Like, especially with what he is showing us right now. Like, it's funny too, right? Because the thing about all these numbers, right? Like, people are like, oh, well, look at LeBron's numbers. Look at LeBron's numbers. No one, even when he was doing triple doubles everywhere, no one wanted to look at Russell Westbrook's numbers. And now we are looking at his numbers. But the thing about Russell is it's not just numbers with him. It is game all around. So, bam! Love it.
Even with no titles.
You
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay, this is an extremely that was a loud truck, so I don't know if it was heard. Extremely biased answer.
If you're just tuning in or you're watching later, or whatever, the unbiased opinion was earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think there's a guy that's in the Bay Area that's got a little bit of a baby face that has a thing or two to say about that.
I think there's a few guys that have a thing or two to say.
Whatever.
And then we're also we talked about, so Jada mentioned 4 straight seasons of triple doubles. Is this his best season of triple doubles?
The only reason that I would say best season is not this one, I think he's about to break a record that we didn't think he was going to break this season. But I want to say, what was that? The 2018 season where he was breaking triple-double records, and we literally were calling him the triple-double king. That was also, when we thought that the Thunder were going to make it into at least the conference finals. Like, we thought that maybe they had a chance. I want to say that season was a lot more hopeful. I think right now what we're seeing with the Wizards is a little less fun. And I think it's great. And I knew he was going to end up breaking these records eventually. I didn't think he would do it this fast. But for me, I'm happy he's happy, but I'm really sad that it's not at the Thunder. So.
I mean, that's a true fan though with it, is that you're still happy when they're gone. It's like when you see like an ex that you're like, oh, we ended on good terms, so
Right.
I'm happy they're happy. Good
and
for
I've
them.
seen those pictures
Good
of
for
him
them.
just smiling so big, and it's so opposite the reputation he has. And I'm like, that is true Russell Westbrook. I mean, again, this guy, not saying tattoos or drinking are bad. I have participated in both of those. But Russell Westbrook doesn't. Like, he just has taken, he has set boundaries for himself as a person and stuck to them. I think that's what the idea of like no drinking and no tattoos has like shown us. It's more of a boundary that he has set for his own personal life. He also is a super big family man, and he puts his family first in everything he does. So like, I just really respect Russell Westbrook. I mean, no matter what, he's going to be a Hall of Famer, even if he gets no rings, So.
No, that's 100% true. That's 100% true.
He's not gonna make it to the Hall of Fame without a ring. I'm just saying.
Second ballot.
That's a lie.
Second ballot? Oh.
Yeah.
That I don't agree with.
With no rings, second ballot.
I'm gonna say depending on the year.
Depending on the class.
Depending on the class. Like,
that's very true.
I feel bad for Chris Bosh because he should have been a first ballot. But when you're in the same Hall of Fame class as Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, and Tim Duncan, arguably the best class of all time,
it's over.
I'm sorry,
it's
man.
Done.
Like 9 times out of 10, Chris Bosh is a Hall of first ballot. 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But poor guy. But okay, so we're gonna go back to that 5th, 6th, 7th seed. Shay, you like Luka, so we're gonna hit up the Mavs. Do you think so? They got a pretty solid, easy schedule going into this play-in tournament possibility. They've been 6-4 in their last 10. Do we see a last punch, last effort to the end of the season to avoid that play-in situation?
Oh, I sure hope to God that we do. I mean, the Mavs have really had a difficult time this season with Porzingis not being there in and out. But I think if we saw anything, the way Luka played the last couple of games, I'm thinking specifically of the game with the Wizards, like, that's what we need to see every night from Luka. And he's young, and he's still getting to that level where he can do that. But if we can't count on Porzingis, like, he could trip over his big toe and be hurt again. So, like, we can't count on him to make it out of the playoff, like the play-in. So Luka has to show up. And when he does, wow, what a magnificent player. Like, what a he's wonderful. He's such a pretty player to watch. So my hope is that they do, but I hope that if they do make the play-in, that is motivation enough to beat whatever team they're going to end up going against.
The problem the problem with Luka playing that way is he gets himself teed up all the time.
Exactly. No, that's so true.
Suspended. So, like, I think he's frustrated because he doesn't have a number 2 he can rely on. And I think the Mavs have until the trade deadline next season for Porzingis to show he can be healthy for more than 3 games at a time or move on from him.
Yeah.
So got those 2 teams, but then there's that 7th seed that's sitting there in Portland Trailblazers. You need Dame Dollar at the end of the season this time, and he's one of the best crunch time players in the league right now. Mm-hmm. Jade, are we going to see some Dame Dollar right now, or is there just not enough in the tank?
I feel like they always have to. Like, this is the Trailblazers MO. We play just well enough to make a heroic push for the playoffs at the end of the season on the back of Dame Lillard. It's a crapshoot. Like, how are they still in a position where this is, rather than having a strategy for like, I don't know what it is that the Blazers need to do to stop doing this. because this isn't going to work
Right.
every year. And to me, Dame time, you talk about in the clutch, to me, Dame time is this time of the season when you're about to go into the playoffs and the Blazers need to win and whoever's ahead of them need to lose so they can make the playoffs. This is Dame time. It's not at the end of games. It's at the end of the season.
Shay, do you see Dame Dalla shining some real moments?
The only reason that I'm a little less secure in saying that he will this season is because he does seem to be going through like a real big struggle right now and not playing to his potential. But that doesn't mean he can't show up. I just don't I don't know. They've kind of just fallen off my radar. Like the Trailblazers have been on my radar every other season, and this season I feel like I'm just not even purposely ignoring them. They're just not showing up. And
You're bitter. You're bitter that
yeah,
he hit it in front of Paul George.
you really got to bring that up right now?
do.
Whatever.
There's a lot of bias showing up tonight with this one.
Yeah, I'm leaving. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not.
I was gonna say, well, I mean, okay, we got the 10 minutes in.
I was
10
having
minutes
dinner with
worth of
my
her.
grandparents.
All right, Jade, of these three teams, who needs to avoid the play-in so they don't get possibly booted out of the playoffs altogether?
Who needs the play-in more? Like, I presume that they all need to avoid it. I think the Lakers need to avoid it the most.
Ooh.
Because for them to fall into the play-in games is not momentum moving in the way they need to be moving right now. They've only won 3 of their last 7 games. So I think even just for their peace of mind as a team, they need to keep 6 or better.
Yeah.
Shay, how about you? Jeez.
I mean, I agree that all of the teams that we talked about should do their best to avoid the play-in. I think mentally that's like a really weird place to be, especially for teams that we have seen make the play-in or the playoffs like regularly. You know, like these are not teams that are used to being the ones in the play-in. But I would say
except
that the
Portland.
Trailblazers. No, you're right. But still, I think that the Portland team right now is a different Portland team than the ones we've seen in other years. And I just like I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna go with my gut on that one and just say Portland.
The thing to not underestimate about Portland is that now they have Norman Powell. And much like Dame Lillard, the brighter the lights, the better he plays.
That is very true. And like Norm Powell is one of those guys that when he's off, but when he's on, it is beautiful.
Okay, so we said the teams that should avoid the plan, but who do you think officially lands in that spot, Shay?
Oof.
Which 4 teams? Or which of the teams we're talking about?
Of the 3 teams, which one ends in that play-in tournament spot?
I do think that the Lakers have a good chance because they haven't been doing well. LeBron's been out for an extended period. I mean, and maybe again, since the theme of the night is my bias, maybe I kind of do want the Lakers to be in the play-in rather than make it in the regular bracket because I just want them to be eliminated as soon as possible.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Jade, how about you?
I think it's going to be the Mavs.
The Mavs.
I'm not ready to start betting against LeBron James. And
Sure.
I'm never going to bet against Dame Lillard in Dame time.
That's a great point.
The X factor for the Mavs is Porzingis' knees.
Always.
It's his
ankles,
knees.
shins,
It's his lower body. It's his
everything
lower
from the waist
extremities.
down.
His lower extremities. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten like plantar fasciitis yet, which he might have, and I don't know about
We
it.
just don't know. Like, how do you keep up?
Just you don't know with it. Well, speaking about some health issues, so LeBron James has he's been dealing with this injuries. He's back for 2 games, or he's gonna be out for 2 games. And he had some comments about this play-in situation that I'm going to read about. So at the beginning of the season with the play-in, he was just like, you got Portland, Memphis, NOLA, and Sacramento tinkering around there. If there are 5-10 games left, why not battle it out? Make them play each other all 5 games? ? And this is what happened on May 2nd, so just 2 days ago. Whoever came up with this shit needs to be fired. Jade, is he saying this because he's afraid that his team is going to be in that situation?
Of course he is.
Yep.
But he's not wrong. I don't think he's wrong. I think that he has had a change of perspective, as people do when they find themselves in situations that they didn't expect to be in. If he had been on anyone else in the league, on any other team, he might have thought of this when he made his first comments, but never expected that the Lakers with him and Anthony Davis and Dennis Schroeder would be in that situation. So he has a new perspective.
Even with the addition of Drummond, which I haven't seen that experiment work out too well. Oh, that's right. Okay. So, Shay, if the Lakers were in the top 3, would James feel the same way at the beginning of the season, or would he be saying the same thing?
Oh, no. This is the thing about LeBron, is we've seen it very clear that he only makes comments when it pertains to stuff that he is directly involved in. I mean, again, I know a lot of people love LeBron and all of that, and they think he's like a social justice warrior, but we can't forget that there's been 2 different times with years apart where he has been pictured with a book that he is not actually reading. Like, he only does stuff and makes comments in the press to make himself look better or that would benefit his position. And that is one of my biggest things with LeBron, because the book example is kind of just what I think of LeBron. Like, he wants to appear like the good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I just sometimes wonder what his motives are.
He seems fake. He wants to be like Kobe, who I could picture Kobe would be reading a book on physics and theology at the same time.
And he would actually be reading them. But every time LeBron James is looking at a book, he's on the first couple of pages and he never actually reads them. Because then when they question him...
Wait. How do you know he's not reading in his own time?
Okay, I'll have to show you or share with you the video where they asked him about Malcolm X's autobiography. And it's very evident he has not read it.
That's one situation.
I forget everything I read, so
start hounding him. Have you read The Cat in the Hat? Actually,
I just think when you are that famous and you are that recognizable, you have to have a certain amount of fakeness to keep yourself sane and to keep your family protected. There has to be barriers.
I agree. I just don't like the book thing, and it really rubbed me the wrong way. Because it was basically when the Black Lives Matter thing reappeared, and he showed up and was acting like he was reading the Malcolm X autobiography. And then when they asked him about it, he was just inspired. I'm really inspired. I'll have to send you the video. It was what? Have you read this? You should have just been hey, I haven't finished reading the book. You know what I mean? There's other
inspiring
answers.
content from LeBron.
Yeah, it just was very weird. It was very awkward to because LeBron's usually charismatic and like, you know, but like he felt it, you could tell he's like off, like he was caught off guard.
So you're
Like-
mad at him for being human when this is what we want more from him all the time?
No,
Gotta
but
lay
that's
off
why
this
I'm like, why can't you just be real instead of faking it? Like that's
Because he fakes his entire public life. It's not that easy to switch on and off.
I don't know. I
He
just
has a public persona and he has a private persona. They all do. All super famous people.
I agree.
do. And I just think it's not that easy to jump from one to the other.
I just like that one rubbed me the wrong way specifically, only because like, again, in the field that I'm in, I see a lot of people that they'll be like, oh, like it's just the performativity when you're talking about like different artists and filmmakers is something that like really rubs me the wrong way, where like instead of including, you know, there'll be lists where people include like one white female director and they call that like inclusivity and stuff like that. So I think I probably took it very personal. I don't think LeBron's a bad guy. It just like sometimes I just wonder like what his motive is in his public persona, if that makes sense.
Yes. Well, speaking of LeBron some more,
Why?
is
No.
he this is my last one with it. Is he not liking this idea also because it's extra games and he's already in the fight with Father Time. So is he not liking it because his body's sore, Jade?
I'm sure that plays into it. I mean, you know, we know LeBron James is the type of person that thinks about all the angles. And there's a lot of angles here. Regardless of whether or not he thought he would be where he is at the end of the season, I agree with his take on the play-in tournament. I hate it. I don't like that they're planning on making it permanent. And I had a bit of I had a conversation with somebody I know from Twitter. He's a Raptors fan, and he really likes it. He's like, because the games are competitive. The teams fighting to stay out of the play-in tournament or get into the play-in tournament, the games are still competitive. And I agree with that. I think the games are more competitive at this point in the season than they have been in previous seasons. But the idea that somebody who didn't make an 8 seed could be in the playoffs over a 7 or 8 seed, I don't like that. Because any team can beat any team on a given night. We know this. There are upsets all the time in the NBA. Top teams lose to bottom teams on that night. But if you're playing in a series, you know that there's no way the bottom team is coming out of the series. And now you're taking it down to a couple of games. Teams go on a couple of game winning runs all season long. So like, what's the point of seeding for the regular season if you're going to have fully an 8 bracket per conference playoff, but your regular season might not matter if you make the playoffs if you're 7 or 8. I don't like that about it.
Speaking about them making it permanent, actually, since he has said those comments, NBA executives have now gone into reconsideration of the play-in tournament.
Good.
So for once,
the
the power of LeBron is doing something good for the league.
Well, and it really isn't like, again, like I'm not saying I hate LeBron. Like I think he was really good in Trainwreck, and
that is very true.
Like he was really good in Trainwreck. I think
clapping in the cafeteria.
Yeah. With
Great
my boy Bill Hader, who is an OKC fan. So, like, yeah, he's from Tulsa. So good old Bill Hader. But I think that when it comes to these older players who are on teams, like the thing about LeBron is that he's an older player that hasn't quite taken like just a veteran presence. Like he's still running that team, and he does have the support. But throw in an extra competitive game, that's unfairly heavy on his body compared to someone like Dennis Schroeder, who, you know, doesn't have he's not injury prone.
He's
rarely
young.
out games. He's young. He's as aggressive, if not more aggressive, than a lot of the players on the team. But he does that every night. We don't see him like needing games off for rest. So honestly, I think that it is a little bit harder for teams like, and again, like LeBron is a little bit more injury prone because of his age, but even the Mavs with Porzingis, right? Like that's another game that if Porzingis isn't ready for, like Jade said, like they could be in the seeding to be in the playoffs and then not make the playoffs because of one game because Porzingis has to sit out. Like, is that fair? No. So I agree with it.
Okay. Well, so today's been a blast. I think we did a pretty solid job at hitting up stuff, able to swing back and get some actual authentic Russell Westbrook takes from Shay, as she decided to wander in with us. But so we're able to talk about the epic menace on the court that is a Russell Westbrook. We got a rush to the finish line for the Western Conference for the avoidance of the play-in tournament for the Western Conference, and of course the almighty LeBron's comments that dictates the league as it always does. So now going into the fast break, where I come up with 3 questions and Shay and Jade have no prior knowledge to, and they give me their first real take. Okay, so this question is going to be, which Russell Westbrook triple-double is the most impressive?
Oh gosh.
So I got 3 different stats. So I got a game where it was 50 points, 14 rebounds, 16 assists. We have the triple-double from the other night of 14 points, 21 rebounds, and 24 assists. Another one, 57 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. And then 26 points, 11 rebounds, or 22 assists. Jade, which one's the most impressive to you?
This one's easy for me. The one the other night, because there's no point guard has any business getting 24 rebounds in a game.
It was 24 rebounds? Okay.
Yeah.
Was that the 21-24?
Yeah.
21 assists.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same one because I'm like, that many rebounds? Like the other ones, like, he hits like just enough to hit that triple-double level, but that is an impressive amount of rebounds.
Like, and 57 points is a lot of points. It's an impressive amount of points, but he's a point guard.
Right.
If there's somebody you expect to score 50, 60 points, it's your point guard, maybe your shooting guard on a really great night. But the rebounds, like 24, that's like 24 rebounds is a lot of rebounds for a center.
Yeah.
In a game.
And then you're not a center and you're getting 24?
True. Okay, so my next one is a true and false question.
Oh.
True or false? True or false? Hip-hop artist and mogul entrepreneur Master P played in the NBA in the late 90s. True or false? Shay?
True?
I feel like it has to be true, otherwise why ask?
Right, that's what I'm thinking. I'm
very
like,
true. I should. Bonus question: which team did he play for?
Oh, I have no idea. The Knicks.
Shay?
Nuggets.
He played 2 preseason games for Jade, your beloved Toronto Raptors.
Really?
In '99.
I should have known that.
He signed in for a couple preseason.
I wasn't a Raptors fan yet then, so that's my excuse.
That is a very true thing. I mean, okay, we're gonna do a 5-on-5 matchup. I got going for it coming up. Where is it? Real great stuff.
Right, I'm typing this out.
Me too.
Real great stuff for me. Here it is. Okay. So these were all teams that had all these players at once, and all of these in their prime showdown. So it's going to be the Los Angeles Lakers when they had Steve Nash, Meta World Peace, Ron Artest, Pau Gasol, Dwight Howard, and Kobe Bryant versus Rajon Rondo, Ray Allen, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce of the Celtics. So a Lakers-Celtics matchup.
Oh, jeez.
In their prime.
Okay, say it one more
Both
time.
of these teams are disgusting. Let's just start by saying that.
That's why I'm like, let's just vocalize this again.
With the Celtics, Shaquille O'Neal, this was his last stop. He wasn't playing well.
So in his prime.
With the Lakers, Steve Nash only played like 40 games from him because he had real bad shin splints. And Kobe Bryant, I think, also had injury and had issues with Dwight Howard. So there was a little bit murkiness there. But who would you take?
I'm going to take the Lakers.
You're going to take the Lakers?
I'm going to go Celtics. So
You're going to go
Celtics? The assists from Nash with the scoring of Kobe Bryant on the same team. Pau Gasol was amazing in his prime. Dwight Howard was an absolute beast, as was the basketball player formerly known as Ron Artest.
I would just go with this. Oh man, I'm so torn because one of the matchup of the power forwards of Kevin Garnett and Pau Gasol, those are like two of my favorite players of all time.
That's
so
why
I'm like, well, shoot, that's probably the key line matchup too.
And that's why I thought Jade was going to pick Celtics too because of Kevin Garnett. So I was like, But she's right on that Kobe, Gasol, pair. Nash.
I
like Rondo, but Nash over Rondo all day, every day.
I could see. I don't know.
All day, every day.
I'm still going Celtics.
Well, awesome. I actually got to ask you, Shay, as I asked Jade at the beginning of the episode, are you a fan of Star Wars?
I am a fan of Star Wars, a very big one.
Okay. Just had to verify because it's May the 4th.
I know. I have a Cassian Andor shirt on underneath my hoodie, but it's kind of chilly today because we had a big storm, so I haven't been showing my Star Wars pride, but I am a Star Wars fan.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you guys going to do anything for Star Wars after we end off on tonight?
I'm in the middle of so many things that are not Star Wars that Star Wars' time will come around.
Yeah, I watch Rogue One on a regular basis, so it wasn't on the queue for tonight.
That's fair. That's fair.
Every day is Star Wars Day, okay?
I was at the gym today, and that was what was playing on one of the TVs, and I just couldn't. I think it was like Empire Strikes Back, and I just shook my head and laughed. I was like, "This is great."
That's so good.
Okay,
so good.
Well, on that note, on the note of Star Wars, that's not the usually way we use it, but we are this week. So, see you, honeys and hunks, on Thursday for our live stream where you're going to be seeing the tweets from us. You're going to be listening to Shay decide what we're going to do with things. On that note, bye. I know this is going to bug some Star Wars fans. I know this is going to bug some people. Bye.